Oh man, Basepaint is a daily collaboration between artists from all over the world to make a pixel art uh, creation and sell it as a NFT for which all the artists that participate get rewarded via the sales. Base paint is important because it is one of the very few successful crypto projects that I can point to that is non-speculative, is doing something that really only crypto could do. You could do it. You could do. It's doing something that you could do without crypto, but crypto makes it 10 times easier. And there's a framework. Let me think about that. It base paint base paint uses crypto tools in a way that no other project has really figured out yet. And when someone asks me, why are you still in crypto? Like it's so crypto's so horrible. It's full of scams. It's nothing but grifters and fin bros or whatever. I There's very few things, but there I what I say is there are pockets of just really cool, interesting things happening. And one of the things that I always point them to first is base paint, because the way that it has sustained itself over so many over almost 3 years now, or over 3 years now, and it keeps getting better and it keeps getting bigger, and it's still quite small. It's this small little community, but they come every single day and they come together, and the art that they make is like like unbelievable a lot of the time. And the fact that they all get paid, and it's one of the very few things in crypto that I can point to and say, here, this is what it's about. This is like what we're trying to do here. So I don't really remember how I found out about Basepaint. I probably found out about Basepaint the same way I find out about any of these projects, somewhere on the timeline. It went by, and you know, like CryptoPunks before it, or like Token Works after it, or any of these things. Something comes and I see it and I say, "Whoa, that captures my imagination." That what a great idea. Often at times it's something where I'm like, why didn't I think of that? It's so simple and genius, and it's perfect in every way. Like, I wish I had thought of it, kind of a thing. And so, very early on, I was messaging with Zach, and got a paintbrush and tooled around a little bit. Not my forte, obviously, visual art, but then very closely followed the project for many years. We did some collaborations. We did a song a day, base paint day, somewhere early on there, and so then just became this thing in the background, daily base paint. See them go by every once in a while. I'll see Backseats share one that they think is particularly good, and I'm like, God, this is like coming out so well. And then I was working on a project, I don't know, sometime in 2023, and I asked my friend Chris, who's a wonderful artist in his own right, Chris Piasek. He does like wonderful lettering and illustration. And I was asking him if he knew any pixel artists, because for the project I was working on, I needed a pixel artist. And he said, well, I know this one guy, Jude Buffum. So just DM'd him cold and said, hey, I'm working on this crypto project. And so we worked on that, for over a year together. We worked on a project that didn't really end up going anywhere. But early on in that year, and Jude had no experience in crypto whatsoever. He didn't have a wallet. He didn't have anything. He didn't know. So I am usually very hesitant to onboard my friends into crypto. Like, unless, most of the time, if they ask me how to get in crypto, I'm very skeptical about like whether or not I'm going to bring them into crypto. And I grill them. I say, like, what are your intentions? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to day trade? Like, do you want to make a lot of money? And if they say yes to all of that, I'm like, don't do it. Like, you're good. Like, just do not. Like, stay away. Please stay away. But with Jude, we were working on this project and another different sort of art project. And I was thinking about Basepaint, and I was like, oh my God, Jude is this amazing pixel artist, and here's Basepaint. So I felt very comfortable onboarding Jude. I said, here, I did the whole thing. I got him we got a wallet and gave him a little bit of crypto and like sort of got him started, and here's how it works. And then I said, here's this community of people who are making pixel art every day. And of course he took to it immediately, and it was I'm very, very proud. I'm very proud of the fact that I brought him in to the fold there. But also just proud that that is like I said before, like this is to me the crypto that I want to live in, is bringing a friend in and having him become part of this community that now, many, like 1,000+ days later, they're still going. And yeah, Jude has no ties to any other part of crypto now. But he's still part of this Basepaint community. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. Yeah, sure. So the story goes that I first got into crypto in 2017. I had gone to a conference, and it was a conference at a outside like camp. We were like camping in the woods in like northern Ontario in the fall, and it was like just a general design internet conference. And I saw someone give a talk. I saw actually Ethan Buckman of Cosmos Chain give a talk about crypto, about blockchain. That his talk got me interested for the first time. I knew about crypto. I knew about Bitcoin from way back in the day. It had never seemed interesting to me. It had seemed like it was something for finance bros, essentially. But something in his talk really grabbed me. And when I got home, I tweeted, just asking if anyone wanted to help me sort of figure out if there was a way that I could combine blockchain and my song a day project. I have the song a day project where I've been writing a song every day for 17 years. And is there some way that I can like combine these two things? And my friend Boris onboarded me. He set me up with a MetaMask. He gave me some ETH, and he showed me a few projects. And one of the projects that he showed me was CryptoPunks, which had recently launched at that time. It was only about 3 or 4 months old. And I immediately was smitten. When I saw CryptoPunks, I was immediately I got it. I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense to me. Why people would want to collect these little things. It's so cool. And sort of crucially for me, I thought, okay, I get it. Like, I'm collecting these little CryptoPunks. Like, what I want to do is have it so people can collect my song a day songs. Like that was immediately sort of where my mind went. And so, for the next however many years, I was working on launching my song a day project on chain, which I've now done. And that's sort of where all my attention has been since then. But I think, uh, we've seen now like this sort of daily cadence, this daily on-chain cadence is sort of a thing, whether it's nouns or whether it's Basepaint or whether it's Song a Day. There's sort of something about the time-based nature of a blockchain that kind of fits with this time-based art in a way that is that sort of fits together very nicely. Yeah. The thing that is worth checking out in crypto to me has always been about having another tool for artists to hopefully make some money off of their art. It's very difficult. It's not any easier in crypto than it is anywhere else, but it's just another place. It's just another tool that you could possibly use if it fits to make money off of your art. So in a very specific kind of way, Basepaint, I think illustrates that like wonderfully. They sell these editions every day and people buy them every day. And I don't think anyone's making a living off of it, but it's just another little income stream. It's just another thing. And but what's unique about crypto, the unique value proposition to an artist with regards to crypto, it's not like it's not going to solve everything, but there is one thing that's particularly unique to crypto, which is it's unmediated. There's no, in every other way that I can sell my work, if I put my stuff up on streaming on Spotify, or I have all my songs on YouTube, or even if I sell it through Bandcamp, or if I sell somehow in a store or something, all of these things are mediated by credit card companies, by huge multinational corporations. Like Spotify's business model is subscriptions to a certain extent, but mostly advertising. YouTube's business model is purely advertising. So in all these other ways that I've been making money off of my work, the majority of what I've been doing is just advertising, essentially. In crypto, that's completely flipped on its head. Crypto is much more just like me making a painting and selling it to you for cash. And it's just between you and me. And so I make this song and I say, here it is. And there's no multinational corporation between you and me. There's just the blockchain, a small gas fee that makes the blockchain go, and that's it. That's all there is between you and me. And that is a very unique thing in today's world, and it's maybe entirely unique on the internet. There's really no other way on the internet that I can just go straight from me to you without some other mediating force. So if that, that doesn't appeal to everybody, but to me, that's like a very appealing idea. That's like I like the idea that I don't have to give any, in these transactions, none of it is going to Apple or to Google or any of these corporations that, that I really don't like. Crypto has its own huge set of issues. Certainly. But I think a lot of the issues in crypto have more to do about the kind of culture that we live in, this sort of neoliberal capitalist milieu that we just all exist in, than crypto itself. Crypto itself is, you could take this unmediated digital marketplace that we have between ourselves, and you can expand that out into everything, and then suddenly things could look quite different. And there are pockets of crypto where people are trying to do that, where people are trying to make really interesting things happen, new ways of using money, new ways of deriving value between each other. And that's sort of where, to me, there's still some life left in crypto. Yeah, it was, early on, talking to Zach, I think we both sort of came up with the idea of like, well, there's certainly a connection here. There's a daily kind of connection here. And so, when it came down to it, they're always looking for what is the next theme going to be for the next day. And so I think we came up with, let's do a song a day themed one. And so we did a live stream with me, and this is something I've done over the years many times, is come into a community and make a song based on the things that they're shouting out. So it was always a fun time, and it was so cool to see it, as it always is. It's amazing to watch the sort of, the canvas develop as time goes on, and people, things ebb and flow, and they disappear and they come back and they go, and it comes, and suddenly you're faced with this like really amazing piece of art. It was wonderful. Yeah, so I have been writing a song a day every day since January 1st of 2009, and I only set out to do 31 days. And at the end of 31 days, I decided to go for a year. And then at the end of that year, I kind of just decided to keep going. And I've never really thought about stopping song a day. The one time it sort of occurred to me was maybe around song 2000. I was approaching the song 2000 right around the time that my first kid was born. And it almost felt like there was this convergence of these two things that maybe felt like a good stopping place. But then, I woke up on day 2001. I just wrote another song, and it's like, okay, well, now I'm in it. And so I would say, if this is what I always say to anyone who's doing a long-term project like this, if you're like me and you're doing some kind of like long-term time-based art project like this, you might be a little bit obsessed with the numbers. And so, obviously 365 means something, right? 500 means something. 1,000 means something. As you start getting up into the numbers, suddenly the numbers that mean something get further and further apart, right? So suddenly you get to 1,000. What's the next number that means something? It's kind of 2,000. And then you're like 3,000, okay, 4,000, sure. And then 5,000, okay, now that we mean something again. 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, all right, 10,000. All right, now we mean something. But then you're like 10,000 is like 20,000. Suddenly you're in the tens, like 30,000, So I guess, my thing is like, if you're going to stop, like 1,000 is the sort of the next off ramp for sure. But then you're kind of stuck until you get to 2,000, because you don't want to stop anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000. That just, to me, that just wouldn't feel good, right? It just wouldn't feel right. But that being said, I would say that, I've never thought about it in terms of a group like this. Most of the time-based art people that I talk to are doing, an image a day, a la Beeple or so many others. Some people do a song a day for some amount of time. I would say, like, do what feels right to you. Don't keep it going just because you feel like you have to. My friend Chris Piasek, who's a mutual friend with Jude, who introduced me to Jude, it's a great example. He did an illustration a day for, I want to say, like 12 years or something, and then he stopped. He just stopped. And I always respected him for that. I said, that's awesome. I think that's great. It's hard for me to know like what to tell a group of people, especially if there's people who have come to rely on this thing. I can see why, it's sort of might be hard to keep something like this going. It's like, the overhead, there's overhead when suddenly you have a website and, people have to be interacting with it. There's not only time overhead, but in this case, I'm sure there's a financial overhead as well. That being said, I think Basepaint is too important to crypto and to Ethereum and to Base and to the to the community that does it to have it stop like that. I think there's got to be probably some way to DAOify it or some kind of way of putting it into a structure that that if Zach and the other founders want to move on to new things, can, while still keeping the dream alive. So I would greatly love to see it survive, well past 1,000. Something like Basepaint could go on forever. I mean, for as long as Ethereum exists, it could go on and on and on. And that's been my dream with Song a Day, to make like an AI version of myself that can keep going with Song a Day as well. But with Basepaint, that can actually happen. That's functionally, that can truly be. And I think that would be a great goal to sort of strive for, is how do we harden this thing? How do we create the infrastructure so that, 1,000 years in the future, Basepaint is still happening, or some form of Basepaint is still happening? People collect art for all kinds of different reasons. People collect art because they like it, because they see something that stirs something in them. I know that, like, for instance, when I saw CryptoPunks for the first time way back in the day, like, I immediately wanted one. And I can't explain exactly what that feeling is, but it was just like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I can own this thing, this digital thing, and that would feel great for some reason. I likened it, even back in the day, the very first thing that CryptoPunks made me think of was these little guys. This is a toy from the US from like around 1986 or 7, when I was like a kid. They're called Muscle Men, and they came in many different shapes and sizes, and there's over 200 of them. And as a kid, I would just love collecting these things. That was like the one thing. I didn't do baseball cards, I didn't do stamps, I didn't do coins. I would just do these little Muscle Men. And so that, to me, is like my impulse, such as it is to collect, comes from things like this, and then as an adult, I sort of bought, I went a little crazy on eBay, and I sort of did the whole set. But
cool.
But then there are people who collect, there's an entire class of people who collect to invest, as a place to park their money. And, all along that spectrum, because they like it, because they want to make money. There's a whole spectrum of why people collect. And, I think crypto, if you get into the world of NFTs and of art on the blockchain, it becomes so easy to collect a piece of work that moves you in a way that I never would have otherwise, because of that sort of like that aura of digital ownership that works because of the blockchain. And so, yeah, for me personally, it's always just been about, what moves me, what I find interesting, what I think is cool.